word that electrifies, promises, heals, or maybe deceives. In today's world, love is sacred, a reason to live, the center of pop culture, the most important goal for many people. But what if all of this is a deception? What if love is not a romantic ideal, but a biological trap? A programmed illusion with one goal: the survival of the species at the cost of reason. Welcome to the channel, where philosophy does not give you comfort. It confronts you. Today, we dive into one of the most disturbing and uncomfortable truths, a truth that many have felt, but few have dared to name. What is love really? Before we start, let's pause. Let's put aside poems, films, and songs. Let's forget about the loving eyes and eternal vows. Let's ask the question: what is love objectively? Do we really make conscious decisions when we choose someone? Do we really love for their soul, their character, that something? Or maybe it's all just a facade, a cover for an instinct that transcends us. Neurobiologists know one thing: love changes brain chemistry. We are literally high: serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, a cocktail that deprives us of sober judgment. It's not a choice, it's a reaction. The will to life, the mysterious programmer. Now, let's look deeper. Imagine that life is not a rational project, but a blind impulse, that there is something that does not think, does not feel, and does not plan, yet controls everything. This something wants only one thing: to reproduce. It does not care about your happiness. It does not care about your art, your values, or your suffering. Its only goal is to replicate itself. Let's call it whatever we want: nature, biology, evolution, but its language is brutally simple. Find a partner. Mate. Pass on genes. Love is just a mechanism, an alleged miracle that masks a mundane task. The illusion of choice. Who really decides? When we fall in love, we feel like it's our choice. But let's look closely. Why are we attracted to this particular person? We unconsciously follow traits that are favorable for reproduction. Symmetry of the face, youth, physical fitness, social status, intelligence, even chemistry between people is often genetic compatibility, sensed at the level of scent or tone of voice. It's not the soul that attracts us, it's biological utility. So, when you think you love for that something, it's possible that that something is simply a well-designed plan of nature. Phi. The woman as the guardian of life. In this world of instincts, the woman plays a key role. She carries new life. She chooses, filters, secures the future of the species. Her preferences are not whims. They are a strategy, programmed by thousands of years of evolution, often seen as more emotional, focused on the here and now, not because she lacks depth, but because her task is rooted in a specific reality. Safety, survival, children. A man can philosophize. A woman must secure the nest. The man. An exception in the system? Here comes the peculiar role of the man. Unlike a woman, his participation in the biological cycle is short, and therefore, paradoxically, he can rebel. A man who does not want to be a father, who chooses solitude, art, death in the name of an idea. He can break the code, turn away from life, from its commands, become free, though at the cost of loneliness. But it's a risk, because first, he must free himself from the most powerful illusion: love, love as the betrayal of reason. This great theme of literature, may be the most beautiful lie known to humankind. We do not hate it because it intoxicates us, but that's exactly why we don't trust it. How many people have given up on their dreams in the name of love? How many geniuses have become ordinary clerks after marriage? How many artists have fallen silent because they had to take care of the family? Love changes our priorities, but is it an evolutionary necessity? or personal betrayal? The history of hidden pain. Of these questions come from nowhere. Behind every theory stands a person, often lonely, often wounded, maybe even rejected, because there is no stronger force shaping philosophy than pain. A man who does not feel loved by a woman, by a mother, partner, or society begins to search for meaning in this wounded relationship, and sometimes he turns it into a theory, into a generalization, into a weapon. Is it fair? No. Is it a human defense? Perhaps. View key: escape or awakening. Philosophy doesn't provide easy solutions, but it asks questions that hurt, and maybe that's the point. Maybe love is needed, but not the kind that dominates odds. Maybe real love is the one that knows its sources and doesn't pretend to be eternal, but consciously chooses closeness. Maybe true freedom doesn't lie in rejecting love, but in understanding its mechanisms, so we are not slaves to them. Love is not just a feeling, it is a force. Powerful, beautiful, but also dangerous. Because if you don't know the truth about love, it won't love you. It will consume you. To a people, a shared decision, a shared path. But let's take a closer look. Love is not just a feeling, it is a power relationship. A system where one side desires and the other possesses. One idealizes, the other calculates. One gives, the other decides whether to accept. In this system, power is subtle. It is not brutal. It is emotional. It depends on who desires more, because the one who loves more is always weaker, ready for sacrifices, compromises, losing their self, just so they don't lose us. And it's not just about gender. Though often, it's the man strong in the world who becomes weak in love. That's why great rulers, artists, leaders, often lost to one person who held their heart. Not because love made them worse, but because it revealed their deepest dependency. Does what we call feminine nature actually exist? Or is what we interpret as instinct largely a cultural code? For centuries, women have been taught one thing: you must be desired, gentle, caring, attentive. You must be sensitive to the needs of others. You must be beautiful, but not too dominant. Strong, but only enough not to frighten. Intelligent, but not too much. Love was her profession, a smile, a tool for survival. And thus, through generations, a model of femininity was formed, which still works today, even when we talk about equality. It's not just biology, it's a social habit, an instinct shaped by expectations, rewards and punishments. So when philosophers say, the woman serves the species, it's worth asking, does she really serve, or simply didn't know another role? It makes us dream of love, it makes us long, dream, sacrifice, suffer. But what is it? Desire is lack disguised as a goal. It's a hole in us that we try to fill with another person, but the other person is not a bandage. They are an equally uncertain being, equally thirsty, and so two incomplete people hope that together they will form a whole. Sometimes it works, but more often, it doesn't, because if you don't know yourself, even the greatest love won't save you from loneliness. Can one break free? All of this leads to the most important question: can one love without illusion? Can one live in a relationship without being a slave to biology, desire, or cultural codes? Is it possible to love in a way that doesn't consume the person, but develops them? Maybe, but only under one condition: awareness. Awareness of oneself, awareness of the other person, awareness of the forces trying to play us, because only then does love stop being a reaction and becomes a decision, not an instinct, but an act of will, not dependency, but mutual recognition. This is not love from a fairy tale. This is not an exciting infatuation.
This is a difficult, mature closeness between two free individuals who see the truth and still choose each other. That was the hope that someone would save you from the loneliness you couldn't bear. True love doesn't save, it accompanies. Love is a mirror. It reflects what is true in you and what is still unresolved. If you enter it unaware, it will consume you. If you enter it aware, it will transform you. It's not about avoiding love, it's about not confusing it with running away from yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, love won't be fulfillment. It will be a repeat of your oldest wounds, and you will mistake pain for fate. Carl D. Desire as Lacan and the mirror. Jacques Lacan, one of the most enigmatic thinkers of the 20th century, once said something that might be the key to understanding love. To love is to give what you don't have, to someone who doesn't want it. Sounds like a paradox? Because it is. But this paradox goes straight to the heart of the human condition. According to Lacan, what we call self is not stable. Our identity builds itself in reflection, in the eyes of others, in the eyes of the mother, in the eyes of the lover. We are like a child looking in the mirror and thinking, this is me, even though it's just an image, incomplete and delayed. Love, according to Lacan, is not the meeting of two whole beings. It is the meeting of two lacks, two people who try to fill the gap in themselves through each other. And that's why we suffer so much. because we love not the other person, but our image of them. And when it breaks, it hurts. D'Aura Morin, Love is a Project of Existence. Simone de Beauvoir, philosopher and partner of Sartre, saw love as a battlefield, not physical, but existential. According to her, for centuries, women were taught that they must fulfill themselves through another, that is, through a man, not as I, but as for him, not as a person, but as a project of another's need. And this, according to Beauvoir, destroyed many women, and many men, because instead of two free people, they created a system of domination and dependence, and love ceased to be a space for growth and became a prison. True love, she said, can only exist between two free individuals who do not try to complete each other, but to inspire each other. Because maybe love is not a feeling, not an emotion, not an accident. Maybe it's a skill, like playing an instrument. And if so, how many of us have really learned it? Most people treat love like a reward, like something that just happens. But Fromm says no, love is an art. It's work on oneself. It's responsibility, patience, courage. It's the ability to live with someone who doesn't complete you, but who you choose, day after day. And if you don't know yourself, then your love will be an attempt to piece yourself together from the other person's fragments.
Symbiosis. Many people confuse love with fusion. You are my other half. Without you, I don't exist. I lose myself in you. Sounds romantic? It sounds dangerous. Because love is not about dissolving into another person. It is the meeting of two separate worlds. If you don't have your own inner self, you have nothing to offer. Entering a relationship without identity is asking the other person to build you. But that's not love. That's dependency. True love is not need. It's a gift, not born from lack, but from fullness. Toyai too. When we leave, when we stay. And maybe that's why so many relationships end, not when people stop loving each other, but when they realize they never truly knew each other. They were mirrors for each other's needs, fears and dreams, but not individuals. Love only endures when we can endure ourselves. Because only then are we ready to truly see the other person, without filters, without projections, without illusions. Jitsi. Love after awakening. And what happens when we understand all of this? Do we stop loving? Do we become cynical, cold, distant? No, we start loving differently. We no longer seek a savior in the other. We don't want to be anyone's savior. We don't enter a relationship with an emptiness that needs to be filled. We enter with presence, with mindfulness, with a decision. This is not movie love. This is not TikTok love. This is mature presence, which doesn't run away when passion fades, because it understands that the deepest closeness begins after the illusion. Love, like everything true, begins where fantasy ends. It doesn't have to be eternal. It doesn't have to be fairy tale-like. It doesn't have to fulfill our dreams. But if it's conscious, if it doesn't run from the truth, it can be the most powerful force for transformation that exists. Because love is not about someone holding your hand. Love is about knowing your own hand and being able to extend it to the other. XX. Woman as archetype, mythological sources. Before Schopenhauer appeared, before Freud named desire, and before Fromm named love, people were already trying to understand women as a force, in myths, legends, and sacred stories. In Greek mythology there was Aphrodite, beautiful, dangerous, born from the foam of the sea. She was the one who shattered states, overturned reason, and divided gods. In the Bible, Eve, not a monster, not demonic, but also not obedient. She was the first to reach for knowledge. She was the one who awakened consciousness. And although religions made it a sin, perhaps it was the first act of awakening. In Buddhism, there's Mara, the demon of temptation. When Buddha tries to achieve enlightenment, Mara sends his daughters to him. Beauty, desire, fear, and only the one who can resist moves on. What does this say about women? That she has always been a gateway to life, to death, to desire, to awakening. And that's why men feared her. Not her body, but what she awakens in them. In Sufi tradition, the lover must pass through the flame of longing to reach true union. In Christian mysticism, Saint Teresa of Avila spoke of love as a soul-shattering ecstasy that is more like pain than joy. In Kabbalah, love is the tension between light and vessel. If you only want to take, the vessel breaks. This shows one thing. Love tests your capacity for pain and truth, because only if you are willing to lose are you truly ready to love. When a woman loves, a different kind of risk. In all of this, one thing cannot be overlooked. Love is also a risk for women, but a different one. When a man falls in love, he risks losing autonomy, meaning time, but a woman often risks more, her body, freedom, independence, her entire life, because for thousands of years, her position was secondary to the relationship, and although much is changing today, the echo of this risk still resonates in the female subconscious. A woman who loves today must be both tender and independent, available and strong, beautiful and deep, devoted but not submissive. It's an impossible balance, and maybe that's why so many women today choose solitude, not because they don't want to love, but because they no longer want to be the archetype, only themselves. XX30. The truth is lonely. And maybe this is where the most brutal truth lies, one that many of us don't want to accept. To know yourself, you must first stop loving the way you were taught. You must stop loving blindly, stop searching for rescue, stop idealizing. Because as long as love is an escape from loneliness for you, you're not ready to love. As long as your partner is a mirror for you, you don't really see them. Love can only begin when you endure the silence of your own interior, when you look at your own lacks and don't look away. Only then does someone appear who doesn't need to fill you, because you're no longer a whole. You are presence. X40. Woman as teacher. And then, the woman stops being a trap. She is no longer the symbol of the will to life as Schopenhauer wanted. She is not the embodiment of temptation as the church said. She is no longer a test for man. She becomes a person.
Feeling. Complex. Sometimes logical, sometimes wild. Incomprehensible, but not to tame. Only to learn to listen to. Because maybe the woman, the real one, not the symbolic one, didn't come to ruin us. Maybe she came to awaken us. XXV. Is there an exit? After this whole journey, full of philosophy, myths, suffering, and closeness, the question remains, is there another kind of love? A love that doesn't hurt, that doesn't destroy, that doesn't take away from yourself? The answer is brutally simple. No. Every love hurts. Every love strips layers away. Every love reveals something we didn't want to see. But if you're ready to look, if you won't back down from the truth, if you accept loneliness, and despite it choose closeness, then love stops being a trap and becomes a path of growth, not salvation, not a fairy tale, but the practice of presence, and maybe, just maybe, true freedom. Never before in human history have people been so connected, and yet so lonely. With just a few clicks, you can write to anyone in the world, see their face, hear their voice, but you can't touch their presence. You can't feel their soul. This is the paradox of our times. Simulated closeness instead of lived closeness. We send messages, emojis, photos, but this is not intimacy. This is not shared silence, a look without words. This is not the breath of another person beside you at night. This is a digital illusion of a relationship, fed by the fear of a real encounter. Jix. Love is a marketing project. Love has become a product today. On Instagram, we show only the pretty moments. On TikTok, relationships are full of dances, filters, and jokes. On Tinder, we judge people in seconds, swiping left or right. A relationship has stopped being a process. It has become a branding project. Show me that you're worth my attention. Prove that you're a partner with potential. Inspire me, surprise me, don't bore me. This is not love. This is casting for the role of the perfect lover. And when the excitement ends, so does the relationship. In reality, behind all of this lies one thing, a massive fear of oneself. Because it's easier to escape into another romance than to sit down and ask, why can't I really be close? Maybe it's not a failure. Maybe it's a necessary stage of maturation. Because only in loneliness can you truly hear your own voice, understand what you need, who you are when no one is watching you. When you're not performing, not seducing, not pretending. Loneliness is the moment when, for the first time, you ask yourself, do I even love myself? Not narcissistically, not out of vanity, but with tenderness. Without this tenderness, every relationship will be an escape, and not a meeting. A new spirituality of love. Ancient religions portrayed love as a divine gift. Today spirituality is changing, but the questions remain the same. Are you able to be with someone, not because they complete you, but because together, you can complete life? Can you love without expectation? Can you be present in pain? Can you let go of control? Because spiritual love is not just physical closeness. It is the meeting of souls who do not wish to change each other, but only to see. Who are you without love? This is the question we avoid. Who am I if no one loves me? Do I have any value then? But it is precisely here, in this darkness, that true transformation begins. Because if you stop treating love as a reward for being someone, and start treating it as a gift you give, regardless of whether it's returned, everything changes. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. You don't need status or a perfect body. You just have to be.
Ultimate freedom. Schopenhauer saw in women the embodiment of biological enslavement. But today we can say, it's not the woman who enslaves, it's our fear of true freedom. Because freedom is not about being alone. Freedom is about not being afraid to love, even if it might hurt you. Because it's not about not falling in love, it's about not losing yourself, being able to leave and stay, not needing but choosing. Being able to say, I'm not your salvation, but I can be by your side. And sometimes, that's enough. Deep down, each of us seeks one thing, to be seen and not rejected. We want someone to touch our deepest part and not run away. We want to be loved not for what we show,
but despite what we hide. And maybe this is true love. Not romantic, not perfect, but human. Love that looks at you and stays.